Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of Arunabh Codes. This is Arunabh right here in another video of Arunabh Codes. So in today's video, we are going to be solving the today's problems which are due for Saturday. Alright, and also I have brought you guys another interesting problem. So stay and stick until to the end to see them. Alright, let's begin. So the first problem right here which I brought is called as racing horses. Alright, so let's read them. A chef is very fond of horses. He also enjoys watching them race. As expected, he has a stable full of horses. He, along with his friends, goes to his stables during the weekends to watch a few of these horses race. Chef wants his friends to enjoy the race, and so he wants the race to be close, like he wants the race to be fair. This can only happen if the horses are comparable on their skills. In other words, the difference in the skills is less. So there are n. There are n horses in the stable. Alright, and each of those horses is represented by the number by a index of Si. Alright, and the chef needs to pick two horses in such a way that the difference in their skill is the minimum. This way, he would be able to host a very interesting race. Alright, so let's do this. Now, let's first of all do a dry running or the deriving of the solution on paper here, and then I would show you guys the code and how I have implemented the problem. Alright, so what I have done in this problem is, first of all, I have initialized a variable called, I have first of all taken in the vector array. Alright, now of course the difference between the vector and the array shall not be spoken. That's pretty much common knowledge, I would say, honestly. But a vector can be easily sorted, and a vector does not need to be like it can be pushed back to. Alright, so what I've done here is I basically just pushed the input back into the vector, and then I've sorted the vector so that the horses with the lowest skill level are at the first, and the higher and them with the highest are at the last. So after sorting them, what I've done is I have first of all initialized a variable called minimum difference. So let me write that here, min underscore difference. This is a variable in which what I've done is basically I have taken the first skill level of the horse. So the first skill level of the horse would be the lowest amongst the all. So that would be actually we would not be taking the first here, because of course we would need to find the like the subtraction result here. So we would actually take the second lowest here. So that would be S1 minus S0. Alright, so that would give us the first or the minimum difference of the starting point for the minimum difference in our problem. Then what I have done is basically I have looped through the third element of the array, and then I basically just computed the minimum difference for all of the elements, and then I have checked if it is lower, and then I have updated the value. So let me go through and define it further. So this is initialize of our variable, and if the minimum difference is greater than the difference of the current elements and the previous one, then the difference is basically just the same which we have compared. Alright, so that's, and then we are just outputting that. So if I submit this problem right here, it should probably be accepted. Of course it is, yeah. So that's our solution for this problem. I would say this was a pretty easy one problem, and this actually was a stepping stone in me starting sorting, as I have started sorting this week, and it was certainly an adventure. Today's problems which I brought are relatively easier, but I would be bringing some difficult problems next week, or even a midweek video can be uploaded. Alright, So then let's now move to the second problem, the one which you guys must have been anticipating. Alright, so this problem actually, let me give you some context for this problem. So this problem, the editorial, is kind of different than what I have implemented, and both are technically correct. Alright, so let's go through this problem first. So Danish is always as busy wait, Danish is always as busy creating and solving his favorite and interesting graph problem. Chef assigns each problem a difficulty and integer between 1 and 10. For every valid I, there are I problems with difficulty I. Now, this particular line confused me a lot. I mean, a lot. I was actually confused on what that's supposed to mean. But, but it's actually pretty simple. So I would be better able to show you on this whiteboard right here. Let me clear it out right now. So what the person is trying to say is that basically there would be 10 different entries for the difficulty levels of the problem. Alright, so let's assume that we are talking about a sample input here. So this is the first difficulty. This is the problems of the first grade of difficulty. So that is one. Let me just write the sample input right here. Alright, let's begin. So this is the sample input that I have put right here. Now this is not actually going to be the real form of the input, but this I have drawn here to explain you the input. So what this right here is supposed to mean is that this is the number of problems for the first difficulty grade, this is for the second, and so on and so forth. Alright. So let me remove that right now, as it is not really required. Yeah, it's not required as of now. Okay, but let's read more of this problem right here. Now let's talk about the solution to this problem. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to basically remove k problems, and then we need to find the minimum possibility of the difficulty. Alright, now this problem is supposed to be a greedy problem right here. Now if I scroll down, as you can see in the prerequisites it says greedy right here, but I wouldn't really call this greedy, it's actually just basic maths right here. So what I've done here is I have just, let me go through my implementation right now here. So first of all, I have just made a sum for the problem, and I have also put the elements into the vector right here. Then what I have done is I have taken in the value of k, and then I have calculated the value of difference. Okay, so difference is basically the problems which are going to be left after we have removed k problems. Then what I have done is basically I have just started looped over the elements of the vector g, and then I have just maintained, of course, a value of index. And how have I done this loop? I have basically done this loop in such a way that when the sum of the difference is just lower, like it's just lower than the actual difference right here, then we are basically outputting that. So let me better explain this right here. This is of course the index, and what I'm doing is I'm adding each value of g of the array g here, and then I'm increasing the index. And when the loop sum, which is the sum of the elements up to g, is just about to be smaller than the difference, then we are outputting the index right here. Now of course this problem is about to be accepted if I show it to you right now. As you can see, yes, of course the problem is accepted right here. Alright, so that was pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would see you around for the next one. Thank you, bye bye, and please do like, share and subscribe.